My dear chosen one, there's something inside you that never settled. A quiet, haunting knowing that the separation you went through wasn't natural. It didn't feel like timing or incompatibility. It felt like interruption. Like something invisible stepped in and pulled the connection apart before it could even breathe. And you've questioned yourself so many times since then. Was it real? Did I imagine it? Why did it feel sacred, only to be taken so suddenly? What you may not have known is that your bond was interfered with not because it was weak, but because it was powerful, too powerful. And there are forces in this world, energetic, emotional, even spiritual, that move swiftly when they sense a divine frequency rising. This wasn't just a broken relationship. It was a strategic separation, a disruption in your timeline, designed to block the emergence of something the enemy feared before you even understood it. You see, when two souls are carrying codes that activate truth, healing, and elevation, their union becomes a threat. Not to each other, but to everything built on illusion. And when you met this person, whether you realized it or not, something began to awaken. Your light amplified. Your gifts intensified. But before you could even process the depth of what you were stepping into, a wave of confusion, fear, and disconnection was sent to dismantle it. And the most dangerous part? You blamed yourself for what was never your fault. So if your heart is already responding, if something in your spirit is reaching out, trying to remember what your mind has been told to forget, stay here. Because this isn't just about love, and it isn't about getting someone back. It's about remembering what was interrupted and why. You were never meant to lose what was aligned with your soul, but you were meant to wake up from the illusion that your power depends on someone else. So if this resonated, leave a comment below. Share what it awakened in you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel right now to stay connected to truths like this. Because what you're about to hear may free you from a spell that was never yours to carry. You didn't imagine the depth of that connection. You didn't exaggerate what you felt. From the very beginning, it was as if your soul recognized something ancient, a vibration that felt like home before your mind could explain it. And just as quickly as it began, it felt like it started slipping away. One moment, there was intensity, alignment, and undeniable resonance. The next, silence, distance, confusion. You replayed every detail in your mind, trying to find the mistake. But the mistake wasn't yours. Something, or someone, stepped in precisely because what was forming between you two was too potent to go unnoticed. At first, the signs were subtle. Miscommunications, strange shifts in energy, emotional shutdowns that didn't match the moments. You felt them pulling away, not from lack of feeling, but from something deeper they couldn't name. And you started sensing that this wasn't just personal, that something spiritual was at play. It was as if an invisible fog descended between you, distorting what once felt clear. You tried to hold on. You tried to fix it. But no matter how much love you poured into it, it kept slipping through your hands. And deep down, a part of you whispered, "This isn't just about us." Because what many never understand is that darkness often acts before light can fully emerge. It anticipates the rise of something divine and does whatever it can to prevent it. That's what happened here. The bond between you two was more than emotional. It was vibrational. It had the potential to activate purpose, to unlock healing, to shift timelines. Together, you were stepping into a frequency that could not be controlled. And the moment that frequency began to solidify, interference was sent in, not through dramatic explosions, but through subtle sabotage, fear, doubt, distance. A spell made of emotional fragmentation. And this spell didn't look like anything dramatic from the outside. In fact, that's what made it so effective. It hid behind logic, timing, and personal issues. It wore the mask of, "It's just not the right moment," or "We need space," or even, "Maybe I imagined it all." But the truth is, spiritual sabotage rarely announces itself. It whispers lies that feel like your own thoughts. It creates tension without visible cause. And the most dangerous thing it does? It convinces you that what was real was never real at all. That's how it breaks people. Not with force, but with confusion. You see, when your connection carries divine codes, it doesn't need to reach a romantic climax to be feared. The mere potential of your union was enough to send ripples through the unseen. And the enemy of truth, the systems built on fear, manipulation, and spiritual amnesia, they move quickly when those ripples begin. They don't wait for the kiss, the commitment, the life together. They act when the vibration itself begins to shift the energy field around you. And what you were feeling wasn't just chemistry. It was activation. It was the early signs of a collective breakthrough that scared the ones invested in keeping people asleep. This wasn't just an external attack. It was internal, spiritual, and profoundly personal. That's what made it so complex. It didn't only shake the connection, it mirrored every unhealed wound in both of you. Abandonment, unworthiness, fear of loss. Divine love doesn't just awaken beauty, it awakens everything in the way of love. And when those wounds surface without awareness, the connection starts to collapse under its own revelations. That's not failure. That's the battleground. The enemy knew it. The goal wasn't destruction. It was distraction. To make you forget who you were about to become. The cruelest part was how it made you doubt yourself. You questioned the connection, the recognition in their eyes, the truth your spirit felt before words were even spoken. But your soul wasn't wrong. That memory wasn't a fantasy. It was sacred. The interference didn't erase the truth. It confirmed it. It's time to stop calling this a failure or coincidence. It was spiritual warfare, and the first thing targeted was communication. Once that broke down, so did the safety. You lost the language you once shared. One of you withdrew, the other waited for an echo that never returned. But the soul never forgot. Even in silence, something deep within you knows it wasn't the end. Maybe the story didn't finish. Maybe life moved forward. But the energy lingers, not as obsession, but as knowing. Why were you separated? Because your union carried a frequency of awakening, one that dissolves illusions and exposes the systems built on fear. You were never just lovers. You were portals, activators, and that scared the old structures. The resistance tried to delay you, but the activation already happened. The spark lives in you now, and the spell begins to break the moment you recognize it for what it was, not the end, but the beginning of your light fully rising. And this is what they feared the most. Not the love, not the romance, but the resonance. The energy field you create when you are spiritually aligned, emotionally aware, and no longer seeking completion from outside yourself. That kind of person can't be manipulated. That kind of person disrupts systems. That kind of person carries revolution in their presence. And if two of those people come together, the world shifts. That's the kind of union that scares them, because it can't be controlled, only mirrored. So ask yourself now, what if the real spell wasn't the separation, but the belief that you were powerless without them? What if the deeper interference was the voice that kept whispering, "You'll never be whole again"? That's the lie that kept you stuck. That's the illusion that's ready to break. Because you are not waiting. You are not broken. You are not forgotten. You are being invited into mastery, into a level of spiritual maturity that no longer asks, "Why did they leave?" but instead declares, "I remember who I am." And when you remember, the energy changes. People feel it. Circumstances shift. And the same field that once echoed with absence begins to echo with alignment. Because what you're radiating now is different. You're not reaching. You're not chasing. You're magnetizing. That's the moment the spell is truly broken. Not when they return, but when you do, to yourself. You're not here to prove your worth to anyone, especially not to the one who couldn't see it at the time. You're here to remember it and live from it. And the moment you stop performing for love, the moment you stop trying to earn someone's return through healing, through silence, through overgiving, is the moment you step into your real power. Because your worth was never in question. Only your awareness of it was. And now, the invitation is clear. Stop trying to reopen a door that closed for your protection. Start opening the door within you that leads back to your divine center. And yes, there may still be love. You can honor it. You can even grieve it. But you no longer have to live under it, like a shadow. Because true love doesn't bind you to someone who isn't walking with you. It frees you to walk fully in your own truth, whether they come or not. And if they do, it won't be because you waited. It will be because you moved, you evolved, you aligned. And when two people do that individually, then and only then can their reunion be sacred. Anything else is attachment dressed in destiny. So, take a moment to ask yourself, who are you now that you've survived the silence? What has awakened in you since they left? What gift did the separation bury deep inside your soul, waiting for this moment to be remembered? Because make no mistake, this pain didn't come to break you. It came to activate you, to initiate you. And every tear, every unanswered prayer, every restless night was a seed of clarity, a seed of power, a seed of purpose. And now that the illusion is fading, those seeds are beginning to bloom. You're no longer walking as someone half-finished. You're walking as someone reborn through fire. You've been to the edge of emotional collapse and still chose to rise. You've seen the underbelly of false love and still kept your heart open. That is strength. That is grace. That is spiritual maturity. And now, as you move forward, you don't carry the residue of what was lost. You carry the wisdom of what was revealed. And that wisdom will be the foundation of every connection you build from here, because now you understand something most people never do. That sacred union doesn't start with another person. It starts with the union within, between your mind and your soul, between your pain and your purpose, between your truth and your voice. When those parts of you come into alignment, you stop attracting distractions. You stop mistaking intensity for intimacy. You stop settling for fragments when you were born to embody the whole. So what now? You stop looking backward. You stop asking, what if? And start asking, what's next? Because the path forward isn't about chasing someone who may not be ready. It's about honoring the mission that connection awakened in you Whether or not you reunite, you are now the keeper of a sacred frequency, and your responsibility is to protect it, nurture it, and let it guide you to your next evolution. If the other soul is meant to return, they will find you aligned, not waiting. They will meet your vibration, not your memory. But let's be clear, this isn't about abandoning love. It's about redefining it. It's about choosing wholeness over longing, awareness over illusion. You don't have to forget them. You don't have to erase what was real. But you do have to reclaim your energy from the story that says, I can't be whole without them. That's the lie. That's the wound. That's the part they counted on you never healing. Because when you heal that, you become untouchable. And maybe, just maybe, this isn't the end. Maybe this was the beginning of something bigger than the love story you imagined. Maybe it was never about the two of you completing each other. Maybe it was about the two of you activating a wave that would ripple far beyond what either of you could see. And maybe your healing, right now, is still part of that mission. Because healing yourself is part of breaking the spell. There's something sacred about realizing that your power doesn't depend on their return. That's the shift. That's when the energy changes. Because as long as your light is still hooked into the hope of being chosen, you remain vulnerable to the illusion. But when you choose yourself, not as a reaction, but as a recognition, the spell loses its grip. This is how spiritual sabotage works. It convinces you that you're powerless unless the story ends a certain way. But what if the real story is just beginning? Now that you've stopped waiting for someone to come and finish it for you? And let's be honest, the longing was never just for them. It was for the version of you that you touched when you were with them. The version that felt alive, seen, connected, whole. That's what you're really grieving. Not just their absence, but the dimming of that light inside you. But here's the truth. They didn't bring you that light. They activated what was already there. They mirrored it. And now that they're gone, the task is not to find another mirror, but to become the source. To anchor that light so deeply within yourself that no absence can make you forget it again. Because what's real cannot be taken. It can only be remembered. And what was sparked between you two, even if it never had a name, a label, or a future, was real. That doesn't mean it's meant to return in the same form. Sometimes the most sacred connections are the ones that shift you, break you open, and then leave. So the real work can begin. It's painful, it's disorienting, but it's holy. Because nothing awakens you like a love you didn't get to keep. And nothing empowers you like realizing you didn't need to keep it in order to carry what it gave you. There is purpose in the interruption. There is wisdom in the pause. Maybe you were being redirected, not rejected. Protected, not punished. Maybe this space between you isn't a void, but a womb, where something greater is being formed, and maybe your task now isn't to figure out if they'll return, but to become the version of yourself that no longer fears whether they do. Because when you stand in that frequency, the one that's rooted, clear, sovereign, everything that's aligned will naturally return, not by force, not by longing, but by resonance. And this inner union creates a frequency so pure, so magnetic, that anything not in resonance with it will fall away. Not as punishment, as protection. Because what's coming next isn't just another relationship. It's a reflection of your liberation. And that can't be faked. It can't be rushed. It can only be received when you are ready to no longer chase it. So breathe, chosen one. Breathe into the knowing that you are no longer under the spell. The confusion is clearing. The fog is lifting. And what remains is you, clear-eyed, open-hearted, rooted in truth. You're not who you were when they left. You're not even who you were last month. Something ancient has awakened in you, and it will not go back to sleep. You see, real freedom begins when you stop trying to reverse what happened and start learning why it happened. The moment you release the obsession with resolution and instead ask your soul what this experience came to teach, that's when your evolution begins. You're not here to chase closure from someone who wasn't ready for the truth you carried. You're here to give yourself the closure that no one else can offer. Because when you find peace within the unknown, when you stop demanding explanations that will never satisfy your spirit, you unlock something far more valuable than understanding. You unlock acceptance. And with acceptance, your soul finally exhales. It stops performing. It stops waiting. It begins to move forward, not to escape the pain, but because it no longer needs to be defined by it. There is no spell stronger than the one we cast over ourselves when we believe we are broken. And for a long time, you may have lived under that illusion, that if they had stayed, you would have been whole, that if the love had lasted, you would have been enough. But that belief was the real sabotage, because it placed your healing outside of you, on someone else's capacity to see what you didn't yet claim in yourself. Now you know better. Now you understand that your value is not contingent on how someone else treats you. It's anchored in the truth you dare to embody when no one's watching. The spell is not broken by time passing. It's broken by identity rising, and yours is rising now. The beautiful, painful paradox of your journey is that the one who triggered your deepest wounds also illuminated your deepest truths. That's the complexity of spiritual connection. It doesn't come to comfort you. It comes to evolve you. And while the ego mourns what was lost, the soul celebrates what was found. Because you didn't just lose a person, you lost the version of yourself that believed you needed them to survive. And that is sacred loss. That is holy shedding. You are lighter now, not because it didn't matter, but because you finally understand why it did. The grief was real, yes, but the revelation it birthed is even more real. Here you are, walking forward without bitterness, holding love without longing, and lessons without illusions. This is where the real transformation begins. When you stop wondering if they still think of you and start showing up fully for yourself. That mirror connection wasn't meant to complete you. It was meant to awaken you to the places where you had abandoned yourself. Now, returning to your center, whole and clear, you reclaim every scattered piece. Even without closure, even without answers, you are whole. And no one can take that from you. You now see why your union was feared. Because if you and your twin flame had come together, fully awakened, the vibration would have dismantled everything false around you. That power threatened the old systems, so it was blocked. But what they didn't expect was your resilience, your rise. Even without them, you remembered who you are. You carried the light alone. Maybe the block was the gift, giving you clarity, birthing a version of you that cannot be shaken. This chapter wasn't about reunion with them. It was about reunion with yourself. That's the true purpose. That's the real miracle. The question was never, will they return, but rather, will you return to you? Love wasn't withheld to punish. It was redirected to prepare you. You were being shaped for purpose, not for a perfect love story. And if love does return, in a new form or through the same soul, it will meet the wholeness you've already found. You didn't fail, the illusion did. You've stopped chasing love and started choosing truth. Now, your story is about who you became when no one else showed up. You met your shadows, sat with your pain, and built wisdom. The kind that keeps your heart open without letting it break. And that is your protection now. You are not bitter. You are boundaried. You are not numb. You are clear. And in that clarity, you can finally see that what was taken from you wasn't your destiny. It was your dependency. That was the spell. And now that it's broken, your vision has changed. You no longer see love through the eyes of lack. You no longer wait for someone to validate what your soul has already confirmed. You walk with dignity now. You love without losing yourself. You release without resentment. And most of all, you trust that what is truly aligned with your higher path will never require you to betray yourself again. This is the quiet revolution. No longer chasing, no longer proving, no longer pleading for love to stay. This is where you reclaim the timeline that was interrupted, where you realign with your essence, where you become the vibration of what you once thought only another person could bring you. And it's in this vibration, one of grounded truth, deep embodiment, and spiritual clarity, that everything begins to shift. Not just in your relationships, but in your reality. Because now you're not attracting from your wounds. You're attracting from your healed identity. And that changes everything. You're no longer afraid to be alone. Because you've discovered that solitude isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's in the silence that you heard your real voice. It's in the emptiness that you finally touched fullness. And it's in the stillness that you remembered who you are beyond the roles, the longing, the waiting. You are not someone's half. You are not a placeholder. You are a complete expression of the divine, and your presence alone carries a frequency that shifts atmospheres. This is not spiritual fluff. This is sacred fact. And when you finally accept it, the things that once controlled you lose their power, for good. So when the past knocks again, whether in memory, emotion, or even through the person themselves, you'll know. You'll know whether it's a return in alignment or a test in disguise, and you'll be able to meet it with open eyes, a steady heart, and a soul that no longer confuses familiarity with destiny. You'll remember the lessons, you'll honor the love, but you won't regress, because what you've built now can't be shaken by nostalgia. It's rooted in truth, anchored in discernment, and protected by the version of you who finally knows what she deserves. And maybe the greatest act of love you can offer right now is to not wait for someone else to come back. It's to keep walking, keep healing, keep being present to the life that unfolds before you. Because someone is watching. Maybe not them, maybe your future self. The one who will look back on this moment and say, she didn't give up. She woke up. And in that awakening, a new timeline begins. Not one written in fear, but in freedom. Not one driven by longing, but by presence. And in that timeline, you are not chasing love. You are becoming it. So, let this be your turning point. Not just another message you hear and forget, but a truth that echoes throughout your being. You were never powerless. You were never abandoned by the universe. What you went through was not a detour. It was divine preparation. And now, as the spell dissolves and your spirit remains fully awake, You are no longer asking for love to choose you. You are choosing yourself, with clarity, compassion, and with the certainty that what is truly yours cannot be taken, delayed, or destroyed. If this touched something sacred within you, write in the comments, "I claim my power," and let that phrase echo to the universe to break any spell. You are no longer waiting. You are rising up, and your very presence is the prophecy being fulfilled. If this video resonated with your heart, if you felt your inner flame ignite brighter, leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content and continue to walk this incredible journey together with others. Want to thank everyone who supports us through Buy Me a Coffee. Your support helps us to improve our videos every day and always offer the best content. If you would like to support us, the link is in the first pinned comment. If you want to delve even deeper into the secrets that make you someone so special, be sure to check out the video indicated on the screen or our Secrets of the Chosen playlist. Each episode was created to guide you deeper into your essence. Thank you for following me this far, and may God bless you.